Homework 6, section 3.4, logical arguments, video 5. In the previous video, we saw an argument and concluded that it was a valid argument because the implication that it set up was a tautology. Let's try it again with a different argument, and I've already set up a template for how to attack these. Get the symbolic representation, and in some of your homework problems it will start here, so that's one less step. Determine the implication that goes with the argument that's predictable, and then set up its truth table and complete it. In this example, our argument is, premise number 1, if I stay home, I will not catch COVID-19. Premise number 2, I did not stay home. Conclusion, I will catch COVID-19. In order to determine if this argument is valid, we need to start by translating this into symbols. And remember, when you translate statements into symbols, you want to look for simple statements to represent with a single letter. But let's start with the first premise, which is a conditional. If, okay, I didn't write the word then, but it's implied. That happens more often than you think. So the first premise is a conditional. Let's define the simple statements it contains. On the left side of the conditional is the simple statement between if and then, I stay home. We're going to define that to be P. You can use any letter you want, but you should always start with P for consistency. On the right side of the conditional, on the right side of the word then, excuse me, is another simple statement. I will not catch COVID-19. By the way, the coughing, allergies, I promise. I will not catch COVID-19, which sounds like the negation of something, and you could interpret it that way, but it is a simple statement. It does convey one idea. It is okay to say that Q is the simple statement, I will not catch COVID-19. Premise number 2. I did not stay home. Wait a second, that's not the same as P. In fact, it's precisely the negation of P. I stay home, I did not stay home. So our second premise is the negation of P. How would we write the conclusion symbolically? I will catch COVID-19. Is that Q? It's not. It sort of is, but it's not. Q is, I will not catch COVID-19. Our conclusion is, I will catch COVID-19. So the conclusion isn't Q, but it is the negation of Q. It's the opposite of Q. So this is the symbolic representation for our argument. And from that, we can build our implication. Remember, the implication is of the form parentheses, first premise, conjunction, second premise, close parentheses, pointing to the conclusion. So we need to set that up for this specific argument. I think I'll write this one in blue. So let's start with the open parentheses, and let's write the first premise. Because the first premise is a compound statement, I will need to put parentheses around it. So parentheses, P pointing to Q, close parentheses. Conjunction. Second premise. Second premise is negation of P. Not a compound statement, don't need parentheses around it. It would not be wrong to put parentheses around it, but it's unnecessary. Close parentheses. Implication. Conclusion. Our conclusion is negation Q. Word of warning in the homework. If they ask you to type the implication for an argument, make sure you use the double-lined arrow for the implication. If you use the single-line arrow, it will count it wrong. All right, we've got our implication, and now we have to set up the truth table to see if this implication is a tautology. I'm going to end this video and give you a chance to set up the truth table on your own and see if you can determine if this implication is a tautology, like the previous one was. If it is, then the argument is valid. If it's not, then it's not.